and a gentleman who at one time was the sports director of Channel 21 a long time ago. And in fact, as he reminisced, he remembered working in Fort Wayne at a time, he says, when Dean Fantazzi still had a full head of hair, and that had to be a long time ago. Tom Campbell. Tom, how you doing?
Thank you very much, Bob. Well, I don't come up here just to get on the air with you.
Well, I know, but I got to put you to work somehow here.
But that $10 you gave me was worth it. So what the heck? I thought I'd take a chance.
Which is up from $5 from last year.
That's exactly right. I've had a pay increase. I've got to say a couple of things. Number one. 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, the Fort Wayne Comet Hockey uniform wasn't to my liking, but now they've got the old Comet like they had back in the 70s,
right,
don't they?
Old-time Comet hockey, yeah.
Somebody made, in my opinion, a mistake. They should have that Comet thing there the whole time, but it's great to see that. And the other thing I wanted to comment, see, I haven't stayed with hockey probably as much as I would if I were still around the Coliseum, but I love this delayed offside penalty. I don't know when that came in, but it used to be guys like Zimmerman, and Zimmerman, if you're listening, you were pretty good as a linesman. But anyway, Bobby Zimmerman we're talking about. But anyway, they used to just blow that whistle constantly when the puck would be offside, and now they don't do that anymore.
It really saves a lot of whistles in the game, and I think it's a fairer way to treat the offense.
How long has that been?
I think that's the third year for that rule in effect, and it speeded up the game tremendously.
Terrific rule. It really is. They ought to do something now to speed up baseball.
Oh, yeah. Tom, I don't think they'll ever get baseball speeded up. They're even trying to speed up golf, and what the heck are you going to do with that?
You're very nice to have me on the air, Bob.
Well, just glad to see you around and working, and, of course, Tom, in a variety of interesting situations here, and honored me about a week ago with just an incredibly wonderful laminated plaque of my big night on the 27th of December. And that'll be one of my treasured pieces of memorabilia from that, Tom, and I just so much appreciate what you did there.
You're very kind to say that, and I just want to tell you that the thing that you should pay more attention to than the plaque was the note I wrote you, because when I first arrived in Fort Wayne in 1972, my dad suggested I go see a guy in Fort Wayne who could get me straightened around, and it was Bob Chase. And you gave me a tremendous piece of advice, and you told me to cover local sports, and I hope that a lot of sportscasters in that town are still covering local sports.
Well, I think in one respect, Tom, you cut a new mold for a bunch of them, because you were actually the first real, you might say, television sports competition that came to town from what had been rather exclusive and done in a certain style. And I thought anyone who came to the city had to alter their style and make it a little different from that prevailed. You did it, and you took the other side of the fence, and there was plenty of room for both people, and you both enjoyed great success there.
Thank you, and I want to mention one last thing here. I don't know how much time you have. I see we got 5 minutes and 40 seconds until we get back to the action. I understand, Bob, that you've got a new program on WOWO Fort Wayne, and that's called Comet Corner, and my attorney is going to be seeing you shortly because we patented that term, Comet Corner, back at Channel 21 in about, 1976? You and I did a program.
Yeah, I think the only reason I took it as I did was the fact that you and I sort of ran the subculture together, and I thought I could take some liberties with it.
Oh, I won't have my attorney come and talk to you that bad.
No, wait till we get it sold out, then we'll have something to work on. But lots of fun in the good old days, and of course Tom very active, and used to wear the big 10-gallon hat and wheel it out on the ice for hat tricks.
And I'll never forget, the guy that got that hat trick was Al Dumba. Yeah. I can remember that evening, and that was a thrill for me. I used to have to wear that plastic hat with all the logos all over, and I was hoping somebody would get a hat trick, and it was Al Dumba who did that. And I want to tell you and the folks in Fort Wayne that was a very special time in my life, those 5 years I spent on the air at WPTA, and I just felt as though every time I go through that town or I come to visit folks up there, it's a tremendously warm feeling that I have about that city to this day. And as you may or may not remember, I was born at St. Joe Hospital back on a hot day in July in 1943.
Just a young fellow, folks.
Yeah, just a youngster. That's right.
That was the year I was out of high school, by the way. And I went to fight the Great War so that people like you'd be able to have a nice, easy subsistence. But, Tom, we appreciate you stopping by. And, of course, good old-time Comet hockey and good old-time broadcasting and media in Fort Wayne, I think, went hand in hand. And they were the great days, I think, the fun days. Media was a huge fraternity, and everybody got along very, very well and had time to relax and enjoy themselves. And it ain't the same no more, buddy.
Well, by the way, if one last thing about Comet Corner, we used to, if you can recall, we used to ask people to write letters in, and we'd put a guest player in what we call the penalty box every time we'd have the program. I'll never forget. Now, Robbie's going to come looking for me with his goalie stick. Well, he's going to yank some old goalie stick out of his garage. Robbie Irons comes in there, and it's the first time that he's been in the penalty box. We asked him questions. Before we get started, I had to give Robbie a towel. The beads of sweat were pouring. We hadn't even started yet.
That's Robbie.
And that's Robbie to this day, I'll bet you, huh?
And he really got nervous when he was a goaltender, as you well know.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he was something else there, but he's still something else, and I'm pleased to have him working with me on the home games. He does. His color and his own Stengelese is being used, and I think everybody loves the guy, and he does a great job.
And he was always easy for a game of gin rummy on the bus when I take a road trip. Just thought I'd throw that in.
But he's not as easy on a golf course because he's waiting for you.
I know that.
Tom Campbell, ladies and gentlemen, of course, sports director of WKJG Low those many, many years ago. And always a pleasure to have a chance to visit with Tom, and you can always count on Tom for some recollections, and I'm sure the boys back home are sitting a little easier now that they figure Campbell's leaving, huh? Tom Campbell, thank you much, Tombo, and here on Whoa Whoa, this is Fort Wayne Comet Hockey.